to insert himself into the picture. So the Jewish people were supposed to be that dramatic thing, but when the Jewish people don't behave that way, then God has to change, so to speak. That's what the Navi says. Again, the Navi Yechezkel is the only Navi that advances this viewpoint, this theory, but it's here, and it's it has very great relevance for us. Now he says, "V'kidashti Shmi hagodol amachulo bagoyim asher chilaltem b'sochem." Now I will sanctify my great name that you desecrated among the nations of the world. I will sanctify it. You have made nothing out of it. Now, part of making nothing out of it is not necessarily doing bad things. It's just saying that the Jewish people are an ordinary people. They're regular people. And that all of our movements and all of our behavior and everything that's happened to us can be explained historically. Even though almost all rational historians agree that the Jewish people and the history of the Jewish people does not fit into any niche or pattern or understanding of history. And because of that, many historians, secular historians, raged against the Jewish people, became anti-Semitic literally because it destroyed their theory. I think the greatest example is Toynbee. In Toynbee's study of human history, in which he dismissed the Jewish people as being a fossilized relic of an ancient Syriac race. And he said nothing about them. They don't exist. And the reason they don't exist is because he wasn't able to put them into, he had a great theory of history and everybody fit into the place. And here you have this people who fit into no theory. So he chose to demean and to ignore. There was a famous debate that he conducted with Toynbee-Hertzog. Toynbee-Hertzog was Rabbi Herzog's son. Was a very famous diplomat for the Israeli diplomatic corps, a great Talmud Chacham, a remarkable person. Never, he died at a very young age. I think he died in his 40s. And he was really one of the great stars, so to speak, of Israel in every respect, because he was the complete Jew. And he was the ambassador of Israel to Canada. And Toynbee came to deliver a lecture at one of the universities in Canada, and they arranged for a debate between Toynbee and Herzog on history of the Jewish people and the places they lived in the world. And Toynbee then said everything that he had written, how the Jewish people aren't, etc., etc. And Herzog bested him in the debate. He bested him very well. He wrote a small book afterwards. Herzog, I think, has been translated in English. In Hebrew, it's called Hein Am Levodod Yishkon, Behold the people that dwells alone, quoting the words of Bilam. And that's a record of the debate, of his words and how he answered Toynbee. And he has a postscript to the debate that after the 1967 war, when Israel captured Jerusalem, Toynbee wrote him a note saying that was something that he never imagined could happen, and that it could be, therefore, he said, that he would have to reconsider the place of the Jews in history. Herzog himself died soon afterwards. But that's
It's 9:45 p.m.
That type of an insight is what the Navi says here, that I will sanctify my name. How? I'll bring you back to the land of Israel. That it alone will be a sanctification of my name. How does that happen? How can it happen that a people that has been dispersed for so many thousands of years, is so persecuted and that has no national entity, should rise and return? And therefore that is how I will sanctify my great name that you have desecrated among the nations of the world. And as I mentioned before, part of the desecration was because you didn't ascribe anything to me. You play it cool. You say it's all natural. The Yodu Agoyim Ki Ani Hashem, the nations of the world will know that I am God. It's not done just for you. is based also the great idea in the Zohar. The Zohar mentions that in our time, in the Aleph Hashishi, in our time, the 5700s, that communication will exist throughout the world in a fashion that never existed before. So that from one place in the world to the other, everybody will know instantaneously. Now, if I told you that 200 years ago, then you would say it's a fairy tale. But today, somebody called me up. He wants to send me a document. He says, give me your fax machine number. I tell him I don't have a fax machine. He says, how can you run a yeshiva without a fax machine? I told him we barely have a typewriter. We're just barely 1 foot in the 20th century. But the truth of the matter is that, a fax machine is just utterly unbelievable.